Today is a really exciting day for me. We are making one of my favorite dishes, a Chinese roasted goose cooked in the center of the fire, served with bacon fat tortillas as wraps with hoisin sauce and scallions.
It's inspired by a trip to Beijing, where there are as many restaurants serving this Peking-style roasted goose as there are serving duck.
Sounds complicated, very, very easy. The first thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to butcher our goose. I like to take these big wings off. There's a ball joint right there. I save these for stock. Then you wanna make sure if your goose went to a processor, they usually are going to take the neck and all the other little goodies and put those inside the bird. But the one thing that a goose has that is a problem for any cook is a ton of fat. I just want to trim that away. This is all the fat from the neck. I want to make sure that I get really nice, even, crispy skin as best that I can. I want to cut a piece of cork, and I want to put my fork into that little piece of cork, exposed a little less than 1/4 of an inch. That's about the length of the skin of the goose. And just hold this. That way you put all of those little holes all over so that that goose fat will render. We're gonna stuff it with orange. Then I'm gonna stuff it with ginger. I don't need to take the skin off. Big handful of ginger. You don't wanna overstuff it because this vertical roaster needs to go up and in there. So at the end of the day, your goose is gonna look like that. Next thing we wanna do is we wanna wash our hands because we use our mortar and pestle to make our spice mixture. So my mortar and pestle, I'm gonna make a traditional 5-spice blend. I've got some fennel seed, clove. I've got these buds of star anise. They have a very smoky licorice flavor. It's beautiful in this. And I have some cinnamon sticks. Last thing that goes in, Szechuan peppercorns. It's not as spicy as it is numbing. And then I'm gonna put in a little salt. And this is one of those times where you really are using both actions of the mortar and pestle. Just tip this down. I'm just gonna rub my 5-spice into this bird. And then any extra, pour it down the cavity. And that now is ready to go into our fire. If you're doing it in a fire pit like I am here, just wear boots so that you can step over, lay that right there, and step out. And now we wait. So a couple of words about the fire. We're trying to maintain anywhere from 300 up to 375 degrees in temperature. I purposely made this zone my coolest zone because I'm stepping over there. Additionally, I placed the bird so that the show side, where the legs, the top of the thighs, and the breasts are, is directly facing me.
Another thing, I'm only cooking one bird today, but in a fire pit this size, you could cook a half dozen at a time and feed a crowd.
All right, let's make our gorgeous pancake tortillas. Put your flour into the bowl. Add your baking powder. Make sure it's nicely incorporated. Bacon fat, we need 3 tablespoons. And then use your fingers and bring it together with the flour. And then, once that's incorporated, you have your cold water, and just bring that powdery flour together until you have this pebbly look to it. You see these shreddy pebbles? And then add your scallion. And I can see here I don't need much more water to bring this dough together and let it rest in the fridge. But go slow. You can always add more. The flour absorbs the moisture even when it's resting. So I've got my dough. I want to let it rest under refrigeration. I like to go 2-3 hours at least. So off to the fridge.
The goose has been roasting for about 75 minutes. So now I'm going to baste with a mixture of honey and white wine.
The honey is caramelizing on the bird.
You only need to baste the bird during the last 10 to 15 minutes of cooking time. You don't want the honey to burn.
Boy, does that look good, huh? Well, we're just gonna let that rest for a while, right? All right, our dough has rested. Put a little bit of flour on our board. Give this just a little bit of a roll. It's easier to cut into pieces this way. Roll the cut side in the flour, and then roll this out. Once you know these are all the same size, just give them a little squish, throw a little more flour on them, flour up a dowel, and then you roll these out nice and thin. Feel any resistance, flour up.
These only take a minute to cook on a hot griddle.
And keep these under a towel just to keep them warm. This smell is just amazing. That is goose perfection. The smell of the 5-spice, the orange, the ginger, it's intoxicating. One of the things that I like doing with poultry is using a shears, and I can just take this leg right off at the joint, and look at how juicy and perfect. It's just rested to a pinkish gray with a brittle skin on the exterior. And of course, the really good stuff. Ah. For anyone who thinks that goose meat is not tender, it's not the animal, it's the way you're cooking it. There's the start of that bone. And do you see it's flat? Just like taking fish off a frame. I mean, look at that. Beautiful. Got this crispy skin all around it. I'm gonna take this skin and I'm gonna have it with the slices of that glazed meat. Thin, moist pieces of that delicious thigh meat. Look at the moisture and the fat that is still in that goose. Let's see how we did here. Wow, unbelievable. All right, grab some scallion. I just like cutting it at a very serious angle so I get shreddy pieces. Now we can go to town. Hoisin, piece of meat, extra piece of skin, some scallion. I'm watching my weight. I'm gonna forego a pancake. The 5 spices taste delicious. The ginger and orange inside of there is just infused in all the meat, and it tastes so perfect with the scallions, and you have crispy skin from all around the bird. Next time that you're at, duck or goose camp, bring along, it's a $12 vertical roaster. Build a circular fire and have at it. Oh, and by the way, you're at duck camp, you don't have any geese, do it with duck. You wanna do it with a turkey, do a small one. Go ahead, chickens all day long. So simple.